Hello and welcome to Zorka.Agency podcast, home of influencer marketing. Your host, Vova, is here. Join me today, Ilya, our head of strategy. Ilya, nice to meet you. And Ilya, right from the beginning, what a year! Incredible year, wonderful cases. And today, with Ilya, we'll discuss top cases from our point of view, yeah, and we'll share with you our emotions and briefly speak about these cases. Ilya, what were the criteria who will be in our top list?
2023 was definitely a strong year for gaming. I mean, the industry itself went through a rough patch. There were a lot of layoffs and unexpected decisions, but the titles were incredible. Obviously, a lot of companies stayed inside during the pandemic and worked on the games and on the titles. I mean, in selling then the 2023 Game Awards, which just happened a couple of days ago, were the most watched awards ceremony, one of the most watched award ceremony, more than 100 million views, and that's obviously because a lot of incredible, strong games are coming out every year, and this year specifically. When it comes to our cases, we decided obviously to focus on A, influencer marketing, B, for mobile games and apps and products that has to do with gaming in general. So we decided to laser focus on those two criteria and industries because we think that the sort of like the gaming, mobile gaming industry is definitely on the rise. There are more and more incredible performers that elevate the whole genre, and I feel like it's important to put some focus and give some support to amazing cases. When it comes to the way we specifically evaluated each case, sort of like why do we have this top 10, where this come from? Obviously, we consider our cases to be the best and the more performing, the more interesting, and they are. But when it comes to the cases of the industry in general, we care about five key things. So the first
Yeah,
is obviously creativity.
it was really hard for us to pick up those 10. It was more than a 10. Yeah, and creativity was one of the criteria. The easiest, maybe one.
Yeah,
Subjective.
subjective, extremely subjective, extremely. I mean, we asked for help from our creative director Roma to sort of like give us some lineups. But yeah, it's there are a lot of cases, especially if you follow our digests. If you read the digest on LinkedIn and in mailing lists, you know sort of like how many great cases there are in the world. But yeah, we focus on creativity first. Then, which was important for me, is the audience match. So it's not just enough to find, I don't know, celebrity or somebody you want to work with. It also needs to make sense with what your audience expects from you and how well do they match. Sort of like the channel you use, the influencers you use, and the audience of a game. How close do they match? Another important thing, obviously, when it comes to marketing is performance. How well do the cases, how well does the creative actually deliver results? And by results, we mean installs and revenue. We were able to find some at least basic market data that supports that it wasn't the cases weren't just buzzworthy; they also delivered specific results.
And especially
Um,
on the long term, yeah, that's also another our criteria to have an impact on the whole campaign, not just a short wave of downloads and installs.
yeah, the long term is the fifth and important criteria. We talk about this often, but we do need to make sure that whatever we do, it contributes to the future demand of the game. It works long term. So when we think about organic installs or like organic interest, obviously this interest comes from the audience already knowing or haven't heard about the game, which comes from those long term campaigns. And that's, I guess, where the last criteria comes from is the amplification. So the channels and influencers they need to work together, not contradict one another, but actually make sure to support different channels, make sure that the final result is bigger than the sum of their parts. A lot of campaigns they come with strong creative, they come with strong celebrities, but sometimes they're just cringe
Yeah.
creative, cringe ideas, cringe execution. So if the idea doesn't pass the vibe check, it's not on the list. That's for sure.
So number 10 is cubics and the cubicle. So basically, I choose this our top 10 ambassador. It's basically shorts. It's long-term ambassador program for the online shopping, the Cubicle and YouTube channel Cubics, who is making lots of YouTube shorts, some long-term videos, and his content is mainly about the Rubik's cube and everything that goes along with it. And wonderful that he shot some couple of videos doing a gummy bear that just hyped, 2 videos, 187 million views right now. So it's like a very huge
Oh wow.
sponsorship deal. So for me, it was a great example of how brands can collaborate on the long term with specific influencers, making them ambassadors of the brand. So it's not mostly about creative, although it's really great, but it's more about like a trend. YouTube Shorts becoming more sufficient now. More and more brands we track more and more releases of YouTube Shorts. More and more campaigns include YouTube Shorts, and they are kind of like integrations plus Shorts or dedicated video plus Shorts. So it's definitely a must in the future year to see what's going on the YouTube Shorts market.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like we actually talked about the shorts format before and how it didn't launch as smoothly and as actively as TikTok obviously did, or even the Reels on Instagram, which have way more support. But I feel like YouTube is pumping a lot of support and maybe even sort of like bumps up the shorts in the recommended feed for a lot of users. So I wouldn't be surprised if those, like if this case specifically, which gathered, as you said, more than 180 millions, which is views, which is insane. But also when it comes to TikTok and short form content, is actually like on the par. It's actually quite doable. So I wouldn't be surprised in 2024 there will be more campaigns with YouTube, using YouTube Shorts, because this is definitely the format that the platform wants to promote.
Number nine, Magic Monsters Mastery. And we are talking about Call of Dragons. I don't know how you guys, but I've seen lots of sponsorships about Call of Dragons, not on the YouTube channel, but as user acquisition as well on the TV. So the game just released in 2023, and it was a great marketing campaign, and influencer marketing was a part of it. And basically, I loved Ilya Zakin. Well, we know Zakin for his wonderful illusions, entertained content, but he really incorporated these great features, and his style was so perfectly complement the game. So visual tricks, illusions, it was very synonymous of the game style. And Call of Dragons were designed and developed by Rise of Kingdoms, and they have influencer marketing based on same visual styles, and visual effects were for them really impressive. I saw that we added also lots of other brand awareness video on this top 10. What's your opinion about Call of Dragons?
Well, the game itself I quite enjoy, and once again, we sort of like talk about this the match between the audience and the game, between the performers, the influencers, and sort of like what does the game stand for, what does it give to the players. And I feel like this is a match made in heaven, because obviously Zach Kane is the someone who's known for his like the style of videos and sort of like the amazing graphics. The game itself is quite graphic heavy, and they put a lot of efforts and a lot of attention towards that aspect of the game, which is not always present in mobile games. So a lot of them are like 2D or maybe basic polygons. So the fact that Call of Dragons is actually trying to sort of like once again show the highest quality of the visual assets as one of the USPs is definitely, they're definitely doing the right thing by employing somebody like Zach Key to work with them. And I feel like he's not the only one. Actually, the whole campaign launched several similar bloggers that used a lot of like graphics heavy visuals. They did a lot of cosplay, so they wanted to put focus on the once again working several influencers working together and amplifying each other in performance style by delivering the same sort of like the key messages that Call of Dragons is an amazing game with high quality graphics.
On the seventh place, it's not about the gaming product itself, it's connected to gaming. And Ilya, this where we talk about the long-term effect. It's not just one case. I believe it's the whole campaign, yeah. And it's Opera GX, and it's wonderful because they are moving towards gaming markets. They, for several years, are one of the top advertisers for gaming channels, and their browse is, it's geared toward gamers, and of course gaming was one of the key categories for them. Opera GX, for me, it's the perfect example of performance and long-term effort that influencer marketing can bring to the brand.
Yeah, definitely. You're right, because once again, it's all stems from the product and the way that sort of like they understand the specific needs of players, and sort of like what channels do they use, what specific features and USPs they might care for. For example, just a couple of days ago, Opera GX introduced the panic button, whereas you can just press a button and all the websites you have opened will be closed and hidden, and you will be like you will see the safe website on your laptop, like Wikipedia, for example. And this is just an example of the company think about gamers first rather than about their market metrics or whatever they might need to do. And we see the same with influencer marketing. Like they don't necessarily go for the loudest or the biggest performers. Instead, they go for the performers which they correctly assume will have the highest retention and highest sort of like the warmest relationships with the audience, with the players themselves. So they see that the gamers first approach actually pays well in itself. And this is once again long term brand building, where you might not necessarily think that you need a specific browser just for gaming right now, but if you see it with enough of influencers you trust, and you will see that enough new exciting features that typical browsers don't have, you will be able to switch. And I feel like that's a great approach.
Yeah, and you can see right now the example. Jim is here video. He's well known for his reaction, and just for Opera GX, I believe he's a top performer for them. And he made reaction on his sponsorship video, sponsorship integration, and amazing, amazing story. Our next case, Honkai Star Rail. Yeah, they are my favorites. Yeah, because
Yeah.
massive campaign, global release for the new product from Hover's RPG game, uh, multi-talent, multi-platform, I don't know, multi-cultural. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's worth to be in our list, not just one creative case, but the whole campaign and how they unite everything with their hashtag challenges like Star Rail, and they basically made a huge vibe on social media.
Yeah, I mean, they are incredible. Talk about the brand power, sort of like the way people anticipate a mobile game, which, doesn't actually happen that often. I mean, Hoyoverse is quite well known as the publishers. Obviously, they're the brain power behind Genshin Impact, one of the most impactful, pun intended, mobile games of our generation. So obviously, even without any sort of game activity, Honkai was highly expected, myself included. But that didn't stop the brand from not participating, from doing something exciting, from launching a lot of interesting bloggers. And it's important once again to show that, well, performance is obviously the key, and a lot of Twitchers and Instagrammers and YouTubers, they had dedicated links and trackable sort of like ways to track installs. But first and foremost, sort of like the publisher cared about the brand and the way it's possible to generate future demand. And here with Honkai, once again, we have incredible people dressing up as the characters, trying to recreate certain locations from the game. So it's not something you can't specifically track from point A to point B, from the boss to the install, but the way people are so excited about the world and about the game, really, I feel like has the viral effect of also exciting the others about what
Yeah,
they think they should be doing.
like they brought the game into the life with
Yeah,
all their
yeah.
installations and their world tour. Number six, we have in our list actually one of my favorite campaigns. It was actually started in 2022. I really wanted to talk about it, but it was in the previous year, the launch and global announcement of Warzone mobile Call of Duty. And they continued this year with their the drop of where its famous its famous map, Uzbekistan, I believe. I want to say Uzbekistan, but I believe it's Uzbekistan, where
Close enough, close
they
enough.
yeah they picked up popular content creators like Hutch, Lucky Chamu, Christina Rocchi, and they made them skydive in the tube, and I saw this, amazing video of them parachuting to the heart of the game's universe. It's amazing. So much action in this case. Number five, Ilya, and I know that that's for you.
Uh,
Vampire Hunters Wanted. Yeah, I just want you to shout out this wonderful case.
Sure. I mean, actually, it's a series of cases that we saw throughout the year. So Diablo 4 is a long-awaited return of another iconic game, available both on PC and recent mobile as well. Even though we remember that the first Diablo Immortal on mobile was met with quite criticism. I feel like definitely generations change, and our approach and our attitude towards mobile gaming has changed quite rapidly. But the campaign itself is quite interesting. The case we wanted to highlight specifically is the latest one, at least as of this taping, with Sarah Michelle Gellar and her iconic characters Buffy Summers from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I mean, the mechanic itself, actually, this is where the creativity and sort of like the audience match are important, because the creative part itself and the sort of like mechanics of the promotion itself is quite simple. You just need to. There's a video from the influencer, in this case, Sarah Michelle Gellar. Participants need to also record a short video when they sort of like need to follow a certain brief, and they might win a prize. Like the mechanics themselves are quite easy, but what makes this exciting is obviously the key influencer, but also sort of the way that that specific actress and that specific sort of like time period of the late 90s, early 2000 matches the audience of that game right now, who are like in the late 20s, early 30th, or the early 30s, and playing the game so far. So once again, it's a perfect match between influencer, the brand, and the mechanic, because it's easy enough to participate, but also exciting enough for you to actually think about what you want to say and what you want to publish. And all of this creates enough buzz around the already well-known game.
Let's move into our next position, ready to some space adventure, because in our list we have Children of the Sky, presented by Imagine Dragons, and here is the wonderful case and wonderful collaboration for Imagine Dragons with Starfield, and they continue this hype and anticipation surrounding this title. So the song was inspired by the upcoming Space Odyssey, and it uses clips, style, and it's really connected to the game. Actually, I saw that the audience warmly anticipated this song by Imagine Dragons, and me personally, I have this song in my playlist. Though this is like example of every collaboration, musical collaboration that we have in 2024. So, Ilya, what do you think if we move to place number three, and we have our top three? We discussed and decided to put here another game of from Hoiverse. It's Genshin Impact. It's just you know the shout out and to their branded videos. So branded content is the DNA of influencer marketing strategy for however, how they do it for Genshin Impact, for Honkai Star Rail, and this amazing video for to promote the new Fontaine region that was added in the Genshin Impact new update. So YouTube channel Buttered Side Down created one of the most viewed dedicated sponsor videos in 2023. Yeah, we've seen it on our internal digest. I hope you see right now. This is example, but the branding content at the heart of their strategy. I believe it's really matches like long-term effects, both performance and the connection between the brand and the audience.
Yeah, you're right. As we mentioned, this video is one of the most viewed influencer marketing campaigns this year. It has, as of right now, at least 46 million views. So
Amazing.
even if the CDR might be a bit low, it definitely delivers a lot of installs and interest of the game. A lot of people go directly to the App Store and sort of like try to find the game once again themselves. Even though obviously Genshin Impact is one of those games that just everybody knows what's going on and where to find it. Yeah, it's important to. I feel like the key lesson from this campaign is to let the influencer breathe and make something extremely exciting and also on their own terms. Because when the content is authentic and sort of like as powerful and as graphic as this one, you don't really need a lot of like different tools and support. You can have just one amazing campaign, one amazing video that will deliver all the results you might need. And it's also important to highlight that yes, Genshin Impact is a quite well-known game. It's been on the market for several years. It's actually one of the few games, mobile games, that continues its journey is quite active after several years on the market. So it's hard sometimes to make the audience excited about something they've already seen, make the audience excited about the game that they've known before, known for quite a while. But Genshin manages to do just that, and specifically using sort of this creative, original approach to making content.
And we are moving forward to our top two positions. And on the second place, maybe it's one of the rare moments where where we see Jimmy, Mr. Beast, not winning the competition. He's on our second place, and really pleased to announce you Stumble Guy's collaboration with Mr. Beast. He created one of the craziest challenges in collaboration with developers of Stumble Guys, Scopely, and it's not only the integration. Yeah, it's about changing the game, developing new stages in the game. Yeah, game challenges, characters, interactive features, animations, and so much more added to this collaboration. And basically, integration is only, you know, the little part that we see.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of the perfect cases of what we call amplification. Several channels working together and not just summing up the results, but amplifying one another. So here we have two worlds, let's say offline and online, that, or maybe in game and in real life, that perfectly match with one another and like enrich one another. So in real life, we have Mr. Beast, who employs sportsmen from all over the world, every country on earth, as the title says, and creates stumble guys like obstacle challenges for them, obstacle runs, which explains why this video has so many views, 150 million as of now, maybe even more. And at the same time, we have the game itself, where there are new characters. One of them is obviously Mr. Beast, and also several characters, sort of like from his crew that are well known to his fans. And once again, it's a perfect match of not just paying influencers to do whatever, but also think about how can the game collaborate even further, and what will the people who the influencer brought to the game will do in the game. Because a lot of brands, unfortunately, think only about the step one, but they don't necessarily think about the step two and three. So now that your newly found players are in the game, why would they continue to play? And I feel like this case is a great example of something that continues to create excitement and engagement for the players even inside the game, and make sure you don't just attract new users and new players, you also make sure they stay playing and stay excited
Yeah,
about new opportunities.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Exciting new player and bringing back the existing ones. That's what all developers need. As an honorable mention, we want to highlight the campaign "Time to Dominate" by Zorka.Agency and
Nexters.
Nexters.
Before we talk about the first place,
Yeah,
which obviously is the one everyone's excited about, we want to use this opportunity to, shamelessly plug our own work, because we think a lot of the cases that we as an agency do, is rating worthy, let's say top 10 worthy. Obviously, we couldn't include our own case in our own rating because that wouldn't be fair. But we thought it was important to mention what we did. And the case that we want to highlight this year is Take Some Time to Dominate for Hero Wars. It's an incredible case. It goes even further than just influencer marketing, because we also had a TV spot, we had an interactive event, but the underlying, of course, obviously the core mechanics were on YouTube and Twitch. The underlying mechanic was in influencer marketing, of course, the bigger share of the activities. And yeah, we just love the case. We feel like it has a great message that resonates with the audience itself. And we can definitely see with the growth in installs and active players that they certainly recognize sort of like the key creative of the message. It's also important to highlight that Hero Wars is also one of the few games that are well known on the market because it exists there for several years, and it's always a challenge to bring something new, fresh, and exciting into a well known and well loved title. And we were able to do just that with this campaign. And while we can't give it any position in our rating, of course, we feel like it definitely deserves at least a mention.
And Ilya, we've discussed with you for hours what will be our top 10, who will be our ninth place, sixth place, but we were sure in one position, which was number one. It wasn't discussed yet because on the first place we have a wonderful case of Merch Mansion and Pedro Pascal, the one and only. And I know this is your favorite case. Yeah, this is the top of our
Yeah,
list.
yeah. I mean, we discussed this case for a while. We actually have a separate video for those of you who are watching on YouTube. We have a separate video dedicated just to this case,
Yeah,
which we
this
recorded.
here you can see. Yeah,
Yeah, somewhere. Click somewhere on the video. I'm pretty sure it's gonna appear somewhere near you.
yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of great things about this case, not just sort of like the creative itself, but also it as a marketing case. Obviously, Pedro Pascal is a great influencer that once again talk about the perfect match of audience and the influencer. So we know what boys like, as the girl says, we know what girls like, and I feel like Pedro Pascal is just this universal daddy, quote unquote, that everyone enjoyed, specifically the audience of the game. We also have incredible creative that, once again, isn't just limited to the several YouTube videos or Instagram posts. There's an offline event. There were several influencers invited to a house, sort of like the
Yeah,
mansion,
so
from the
they
game.
built the real mansion and invited top names, influencers, YouTubers like the game theorists to see this real mansion. I was so excited to see that the real location from the game really exists.
One of the even more important things about this case is not only the creative part, but also the results that it brought. Because once again,
Yeah.
a lot of the market, like whatever we do, it has to bring certain results when it comes to installs and maybe revenue. And we share this in a video in more details, but the case was able to deliver a lot of high quality installs, meaning that the revenue per download and average revenue per paying users were consistently high. So definitely the case paid for itself, even though it costs quite a lot, I'm sure. But still, it brought even more engaged, active paying players, which is always the key goal of any campaign.
We can't include in our list all of the cases because they were so much of them, but definitely you can help us and write comments below what were your most favorite, anticipated, creative, performance oriented cases in 2023. We'll be really glad with Ilya to see honorable mentions from our community. Thanks for watching. Press likes and subscribes, and see you.
See you soon.